you. Hi,
Thank
Facebook.
you.
Better late than never, right? We've tried every which way and it finally did it. So welcome, welcome. I am Paula McCoy, owner of Colors for Earth. Colors for Earth is a ceramic company and a fired glass company. And this is our only product, our low fire, no fire piping paste that is something that can be fired or not fired. So I'm showing you the non-fired. A lot of you have seen my ornaments that I paste that I post on Facebook and stuff. So without further ado, third time's the charm. We're going to switch to the overhead camera. And if you have any questions, be sure and put those in the Facebook, and Carolyn and company are going to read those to me if you have any. And again, we apologize for, Facebook. All right. So Carolyn had put out a link to, and you want to tell them your link for your website?
Artroomtocreate.com.
Okay.
And I'll type that into the chat
Okay.
on the Facebook side.
Awesome. Okay. So on that link, she links you to what you can get to my website, or you can go directly to colorsforearth.com. And all you have to do is type in paste in the search bar and it'll bring up everything to do with it. The PDF is on sale for $12.50. I don't remember how many pages there is in it, but I'll walk you through this. So it shows you some of the embellishments, some of the latest ornaments that I've done. We do have kits available, which I've listed here, and I'm going to show you that kit also, but I'm going to just flip through this so you'll see what you get for $12.50. So basic general information, how to use the bottles, how to work. You start from the background and you work forward. Okay. And a lot of these are done on glass, but it doesn't matter what surface, whether you're on wood, glass, plastic, it doesn't matter. On top of a fired ceramic glaze. And this is your last thing that you would do. Okay. So that shows you a few, and we're going to go through all this. On this particular pattern page, there is little dots. These are like the little jewels, and I'm going to explain those. I embellish with those in the beginning, and then I also do them in the end. And then it just gives you some different embroidery. I call it elegant embroidery. This was a pattern that I used back in 2019. Shows you the direction of your strokes, and I think that's probably the biggest problem that people have. They forget to look at where it grows from when they're doing a design. So hopefully I'll tell you some tips and things on how to keep that easier. On this particular page, I give you little dots, and that's indicating that your paste will start where the solid line is, because you don't need that, and that will come later and you'll understand why. Here's just some examples. Some of these are plastic from the dollar store. That's a good resource. I've rolled the inside with some glitters. That takes forever to dry, guys. I have found some easier ways to roll the inside, and let me find this one here. So I like to do a lot with just a clear, or I do have colors. So I sell a product on my website because it's hard to find, called Glitter It. And it's a liquid, it's like a glue. So you pour it in, run it around, and I have videos on YouTube that show you this. Put in your glitter, whatever the color is, do it, and then you can customize just a clear ornament to your liking. Okay. So keep that in mind if you don't want to use the glass ones and you want to use plastic. Just remember, the plastic ones that are out there right now, they have like a seam down them. I don't like those at all. So I still go back to the glass ornaments when I do my paste, and I'll explain why. So these are just examples, different sides of the same ornament, showing you how different ways you can decorate it. You know, here's like strokes, if you're going to add background comma strokes also. Some of the embellishments, I go around the middle and then work up, work down. I mean, it's endless. Your imagination is your limitation. Okay. You can also come back in and you can put acrylics inside the design to make it stand out. You can also, this one I used treasure gold on. This one I used a treasure gold that was purple, and then the gold color, because it comes in like, I don't know, 16 different colors maybe. I mainly use folk art, multi-surface paints, and the treasure gold. When I do my thing, I also use deco art sometimes. I'm a little bit of everything, whatever works for me. Okay, so let's talk about what comes in the kit. I got to remember we've done this a couple of times and I got to remember what I need to do. So here is the kit. This is the black and white kit. So it comes with a basic technique sheet telling you it comes with black paste, 4-ounce jar. Comes with the white paste, 4-ounce jar. And then we have what we call our glass medium, which works with our enamels, but it works with this product. And I'm going to show you how you condition your brush in this so that it won't stick in your brush should you have to walk away, you know, the phone rings, the kid screams, whatever the case is. You get 2 bottles because we have 2 colors in this one, black and white. So you get 2 bottles and then you get some tips inside there. I don't know if you can see those. I'll show you those closer up. You also get a green little, it's like a Q-tip. It's a fuzzy end to help clean out the tips and a syringe to pull water up in and clean. So we'll go over that. Okay, you also get a brush and a tool. The brush, I own Paula Brush Company also. The brush is a synthetic Kolinsky blend so that it has nice spring. So this is the black and white kit, but we do also have, let me turn on this other light, a white kit or a black. So you can buy it, or you can buy it singly if you already have something that you want to use to dispense the product. I can tell you that over 20 years ago, I learned to do this with a lady by the name of Jeanette McCoy. She was a cake decorator and she came into the ceramic industry and showed us this. And she had one product that was non-fired and another product that was fired. And now we have one that does both. So we don't have to have 2 separate ones. So I learned a lot from her. She is no longer in the business. And so anyway, it's been around for quite a while. Okay. So this is just a sheet that I have, and I forgot to include it in the PDF. If you can't find it and you've already purchased the PDF, just email me and I'll send you this page. Okay. But it is on my blog. If you just search paste, you should find a blog out there and you'll see this and the images where you can download it as a PDF. Okay. All right. So am I talking too fast, Carolyn? Because I feel like I've done this a couple of times.
Well, to be quite honest, you have done it a couple of times. So question, the
Okay.
kit that you just showed us, how much does that sell for on your website?
Oh boy, it's on sale. I think it retails at 54. Is Robin Storm
I'll
on?
go and look, Paula. We're good. I'll go and look
Okay,
and I'll put it
okay.
in the chat bubble.
Yeah, and the white one or the black one is I want to, one's on sale for like 48 and the other one's on sale for 47 something, I think, if I remember. But you'll have to look because I just did that before we went live. So I honestly don't remember. I just marked it down. Nobody knows it's on sale but you guys. So go grab it. I'll leave it on there for a couple of weeks or so. Okay. So I'm going to show you how to put the product inside our bottles that we use. So it comes with a seal. Peel that back. I'm actually just going to throw that one away. A lot of times I don't use that. This one is very thin. See how thin that is? So stir it up good. And this is the tool that comes in the kit. And I have mine listed as black low fire paste. That's what my initials, abbreviation there. Okay. So the tapered end makes it easy to get inside that bottle. That's why we put that in the kit so that you don't have any issues with it. And after you're done loading, and I wouldn't load more than like a third of the bottle, because if something happens and let's say you decide, you know, that you can't do it right away, at least you haven't wasted. These are 1 ounce bottles. At least you haven't wasted an ounce of the 4 ounce of product. So that's a good thing. Okay. That way, if you don't have it tight, you forget and you don't put the cap on it. So it has a cap closure here. Let me put that in the, oh, I got it all over me already. Oh, well, if you don't have it on you, you're not doing something right, right? Actually, I'm going to wipe that off. But I want to show you in the white one. And I always usually date. This is the first time I opened that black. I date mine so that if it ends up being hard, at least I know why. If I were you, I would put a piece of saran over this, then put my lid on it, and I would put it in a Ziploc bag. That is going to keep it fresher. And if you live in Arizona, Florida, where you've got a lot of heat, I would set it in the refrigerator. Just label it so somebody doesn't try to think it's whipped cream or something and eat it. Okay. The other thing is, as you're working and your jar gets lower and lower, keep the edges scraped down, because once it hardens, it's not reconstitutable. Okay. So you want to keep it as fresh in the bottom. I think you can see that, see how far that goes down already. So down in here, it's fresh, but I keep it scraped down so that I don't lose any. Okay. Any questions about that?
Oh, man.
No, ma'am. Okay. All right. It's a no fire, low fire. So be sure and wipe your tools off, because once it hardens on there, it's on there. Okay. The other thing is, I take a paper towel, I fold it into fours, and then I dip that into water and I wring it out so that the end is wet. And then I keep this in there to keep that fresh. Now, one of the things you need to consider also is when you're squeezing this, okay, and you're squeezing out a line, and this has been sitting here for how long now? 45 minutes. So let me show you how we clean it. Look at my dirty bowl. Plunger that comes in the kit, half a twist to the right, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, and then you plunge out. So every 20 minutes or so, you may need to plunge it. It really depends on how hot-blooded you are. I'm going to be honest. My hands get really warm, and so it tends to clog quicker. Just remember that once you've cleaned that, you want to tap it on a paper towel or something to get all the water out of there. And you also want to squeeze it. Oh, lovely. So now it's completely clogged. So now it's my turn, Carolyn. There we go. Okay, now it's coming out. It wasn't Facebook, and now it's Paula's tools. All right, let's see if that one comes out now. There it goes. Can you see that? It's coming out. All right. So you would test it after you clean it. Okay. Because if you don't, what's going to happen? It's going to squirt water onto your ornament. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. All right. So I've got that ready. So this has got my paste in it. I've got the size tip. The white tip that's in, let's talk about the tips real quick. So you get the white one, you get a yellow, and I'm just going to lay them here. I think you can see them better. Yellow, pink, the black bent. Because these kits are made up for other things, the black one is so tiny, I would not use that unless you're writing with like an acrylic and you wanted to put it in the bottle and write with it. That's too tiny. Then you've got the yellow is the next step up, the pink, which is what I used to use, but I have had carpal tunnel surgery, and I find that the bent white one, which is the largest opening, okay, that one works better for most people with any kind of arthritis, okay? So you've got other tips in there. You can use them for something else. You're going to take that little cap off and attach your tip. So just a half a turn, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. If you keep turning it, you'll never get it off of there. Okay, so just a half a turn is all you need. And then you want to make sure that you stay in contact with the surface of whatever surface you're working on. Okay, so touch down to the surface and pull. The faster you pull, you're going to get more of a skippy. If you go slower, you're going to get more of a solid. So you got to find what works for you. Okay. Everybody is different. So fast is not always the best, but every time you want to come over here and kind of wipe that tip off just to remove any debris so that you don't transfer it to your piece the next time. The other thing is, depending on how much is in the bottle, you've squeezed in and you've done it. Don't go over to your damp paper towel with depressing on the bottle, because as soon as you let go of that, you have water in your towel. What is it going to do? It's going to pull water up into the tip, and then you're going to put it onto the next area that you're piping. Okay. So keep an eye on that. If you hear it, it's almost like a suction type sound. So just after you've piped, stop. You see that, how that's kind of depressed in there? I don't know if you could hear that or not, but there's like a little where it kind of undid itself, the suction. So make sure your bottle is round and it's not sunk in, because you're going to have, it's going to pull the water out of there. Okay. All right. So in my little palette, I have put the glass medium that's in the kit in 2 spaces. So I call them my dirty and my clean. That's what we're going to condition our brush with. And I think you can see that. I moved you guys out of the way so I can see what they're seeing. Okay. So just like I showed on this particular one, we're just going to go over the basics to start with. So you're going to do a stem for your leaves. So be in contact with the surface. You can come back and fill in if you need to, and then just wipe out onto that damp paper towel. And then I just leave it there so I can kind of tuck it in. It doesn't have to be shoved in there. That's just, and make sure that that stays moist as you're working, because it will dry out just like anything. Okay. And then we're going to come in. So I go around and do all my stems first, and then I come back and do my leaves. So let's just show you. Hold on, I'm getting ahead of myself since we did this a couple of times. Okay, so these are the jewels that I use. They're from Paper Studio is the main one, I would say. Hobby Lobby is a good resource for that. If you shop there, be sure and get on their mailing list so you know when they're 50 off sales. They have them 50 off like every other month, every 3 months. They also have larger jewels. They have these sheets that are different sizes of the pearls, which are really nice. They have like I bought this one on Amazon. It was a sheet, and I've used part of them. And these are all sticky. So let me get my toothpick if I can get a hold of it. So they all have adhesive on the back. All right. So you just reach underneath there and get them. See that? And then you would take it over and apply it to your surface. But we're going to do one of them also. I just wanted to show you a few of these so that you had some idea. And it's on that PDF also. Okay. So here's this particular one. So I just cut it off, and the best way to get the most for your money, and I don't know if I don't have a marker right in front of me. This will do quite a few ornaments. So I cut here. So there's one side of my ornament. So there's one ornament. Then I come over here and I cut this one up. Move that out of the way. So I've got that one. And then I go, a lot of times I'll stop it here. So there's a second ornament, right? I want to get the most for our money, because these, what was it, $2.99, although I don't ever pay $2.99. I buy them at 50 off. So on this particular one, I cut down the middle of this little area, which can be tricky. And then I leave the larger stone with this one. And there's another one. So there's 3 ornaments out of one sheet that'll cost you $1.50 if you buy them on sale. Okay. All right. So then we need to I put these on first. So lift that off. Start at the top, because they have an adhesive. See, they're sticky on the back. And Carolyn, if I get off screen, let me know. I try to watch it, but sometimes
Nope, you're doing awesome. Thank you.
okay. All right. So do we have viewers? Do they have any questions yet?
Yes, we have viewers. There's 43 people on, and I'm sure
Awesome.
we lost some because of the little mess up, but welcome back, everybody.
Yeah, welcome back. Okay, so on this one, it's got like a little extra guy there. Sometimes I'll cut that off and I'll just use this portion of it. And I think, you know, when the pictures, you can see different ideas and then how to lay out some design around it. But sometimes this is the hardest part, knowing where to put these. And I think the best thing I can tell you is at the top, and make sure it's like it's growing out of something. So if this were a stem of a flower, this would come out of it and everything comes off of that. I think that's a good way to think about it. So like on this one, I have these. These are the matte finished ornaments, and I don't have a glossy finished one. with me. And the reason I use the matte is because I like to use chalk, and it'll show up better on this one. So if I want my flower to come off of here, there's no real way, unfortunately, to transfer a pattern that I have found, because any markers that you would use with tissue paper that we do in the ceramics, the marker is going to bleed into the paste, and then you've got purple marker or red marker, and it doesn't look pretty. Okay, so keep that in mind. You're going to have to just, and the nice thing about the chalk is it washes off, just wipes off. I did find, and I was telling Carolyn earlier, a customer told me about this. This is Craft Decor Chalk Writer. Okay, so they use it for chalkboards. It's a wet erasable. I had never used them before tonight. So this is actual chalk, and I'll show you. So if I wanted a leaf there, so it's chalk, and then what you do is you take water. I'm gonna get my brush wet, blot it so that it, and the water removes it. Is that so cool or what? So now we can actually use the glossy ornaments and do this. So you're going to cover this up and you'll see how that works. Okay. But this is a way to get it onto a glossy surface, which I had not done before. So I would buy like 8 packs of ornaments, and I'd use half of them, the 4-pack of the matte ornaments, to do my design, because I wanted to be able to use the chalk to put it on there. So now you can do that. So again, it's Craft Decor Chalk Writer. And I think I found this at Dollar Tree, maybe.
It does
But
say it's available at the Dollar Tree, Paula.
okay, awesome. Awesome. Thanks. So that's pretty cool. And I think this is like, I don't know, it says you can up and down, so it will change that. So as you wear it down, you can twist it up, kind of like mechanical pencils where you do that kind of thing. Okay. All right. So does everybody understand the jewels and how to put that on and cut it up and get the most out of your money? I use these little condiment cups to set. I also use, you see over here, I've got an egg crate. So I cut off the lid to my egg, and I use that. And somebody told me about doing that. Lori, and I'll ruin her name every time. Lori from Canada, we'll put it, we'll put it that way. I can't ever say her last name. Okay. All right. No questions? We're good.
We
Okay.
are good.
All right. So I'm gonna pick out, I think I like this pearl one. I'm gonna put one on a big ornament just so you can see how I use this particular one. Paper Studio did not used to have this size that I knew of anyway. I had bought them from, is it Darcy, or how do you say that? Darice. Okay, so these are, and they came like this. I bought other things from them for my company, and I found them, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's dangerous for me, you know? All right, so these are longer. They're still unsticky. Okay, so we're gonna grab a bigger cup, and I do the same thing. I start with them at the top. Sometimes if the embellishments are old, the stick can be non-sticky, and you might have to like take a toothpick and some super glue and just dab it in here and there. I've done that because sometimes over time they tend to lift off. This one here has been on there quite a while, and I noticed that one of the ends kind of curled, but you'll know if you need to add anything else to it. But see how I did that? You could divide these into 3s if you want, or you can just divide them in half. But start at the top, and I'm going to do it just in half. So directly across, and I'm just going to lay it down. Okay. All right, so let's get these out of the way. If you buy the ones from Hobby Lobby, these are coordinate, I can't even talk tonight. You can coordinate the colors. And so this gives you some different size jewels that are the same color as the swirls. Okay, so look for those. I'll put it up to the camera there so you can kind of see the item number, but you should be, adhesive gem strips is what they're called. You see that there? So look for that. Amazon has some, they have like a variety pack, like this is a sheet and you might get 12 different colors. The problem is I use a ton on my background. So here's the swirl that I started out with. There's another one. And then after I do the paste work, then I come back in and I put my fillers in. I should not tell you how many's in there and maybe give away an ornament. How about that, Carolyn? If somebody can guess how many, and Robin Storm, you cannot guess. Lucy, Matt, you can't guess because you both own one of these. No, I shouldn't do that. Guess how many of these individual stones are in the background and you can win one of these tonight, okay?
So
I'll
put
have
it in the feed, ladies, and I'll
There
touch
you
base
go.
with Paula. Okay.
Yep, and I'll have to count them. I'm not counting these here, okay? Just these little ones that are in the background because I have 2 of these, so I can give one away. And I sell these, just FYI, if you're doing finished work and you're selling, this year I sold these for $39.95. And you can see how big it is. It fits in your hand. It's considered the 4-inch diameter balls. And you can see that how that one's smaller. And that one's even smaller. So this is what I call, when I was a kid, this was the size ornament we had on our trees, that size. Okay. All right. So I like to play games and I like to give away stuff on my lives. So I do, before I forget, I do have a page that's called One Stroke and More with Paula McCoy. You can like that page and follow things that I do that are non-fired related. That's where I post my acrylic, my fabric paintings, those kind of things. Okay. All right. So what you do is you start and say, okay, what am I going to do on here? So if I want a flower to come off of here, I'm going to kind of sketch on that I want 3 petals. I may end up doing 2 more in front of it, and that's okay. And then if I want a leaf off of it, and then maybe I have a couple of little leaves that come off of that. Now, normally I do 10 to 12 at a time, so I line them up on the cups. I'll draw all my designs, and then I'll go in and start doing all my stems and so on and so forth. So I'm just going to kind of start here so you can see. So what do we do first? We do our stem first. So I'm not going to do the stem to the flower, just the center vein on my leaves. And remember that chalk is just a guide. You don't have to follow it because it'll wipe off with a little bit of water on your brush. Okay. So I'm in contact with the piece. Can you see that? I'm right there on the piece. I'm not up here dropping it on because then you're going to get what I call like a bridge and you've got a gap and that's probably going to break off. Okay. So stay in contact with your surface, start, pressure, and then come out. If you have a gap, just fill it in. Okay. And when we get to some of the other strokes, I can turn on the side camera. I know a lot of them found that very helpful one other time that I did it. Okay, so let's just put a few of these on there and then tuck that back in your damp paper towel. Okay, I'm gonna move that one a little out of the camera way and let that one set. So I did one here that I've already got one. I know it's white on white, but I think you can still see it. Hopefully that light doesn't cause a problem. All right, so I need my brush. I'm going to condition my brush in my glass medium, meaning I get it really, it'd be like putting your brush in water before you use it to condition it. We're putting it in the medium. Okay. And then I'm going to come to the paper towel and I'm just going to put my finger on it and gently press so that now, see how it's flat and it kind of looks like a filbert or a cat's tongue. Okay. It's no longer a round brush. So that conditioned it. And what that does is make it easier. If I leave some paste in there, I can rinse it and get it out of there. If I didn't have this in it, sometimes if you, like I said, you have to walk away to go to the bathroom, the kids, the dog, whatever, it can harden in your brush. It is a no fire. Okay. So this one was behind, this one's on top. I don't want to start all the way down at my stem and close in the complete leaf. I want to start about 1/4 of an inch away from there. and you'll see why, because of the stroke. And then I'm just gonna kind of wave it. And then I'm gonna come over here, and you notice I did not go down. Do that one, put that in there. I've still got it flat. I'm gonna grab and pull. So I'm gonna touch and pull, touch and pull, 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 pull. And I'm gonna do this on the darker color so you can see it better. And then I'm coming back down. So I'm not going sideways. You're basically creating the veining. See on this one here? I think you can see that. Move it over here. You've got curvature to it. So you're creating the veins. See, and I did this with a marker underneath. Do you see that line? This was a different marker and it wouldn't come off. So that's why I stayed away from those markers to begin with. And then you want to kind of wipe your brush on the paper towel. And then I go into my medium and I kind of rinse it out and I press out the excess. So all I'm doing is pressing my finger and then lifting up. So I'm not squeezing everything out of it. Okay. Any questions? Yep.
No, what is your pressure like as you're applying the paste from the nozzle as well as from the brush?
Okay, so that's a good question. And we're going to switch to the side camera for that. That seemed to work the last time I did a video like this. And I want to do this camera. Okay, so now you're right up, you're right here. Really close, right? All right, so let's pretend we have another stem. So when I've got the bottle here, so I'm on it, and then I'm getting ready to push, I'm going to just pull in another stem of leaves here. Okay, and then lift off. Dab it on that damp paper towel to keep that moist. Okay, that's going to keep that tip from clogging. See how that, let me let it focus. I think you can see that. Okay, so let's do this leaf. So we're not going to start all the way down here. We're going to start up a ways. And I just put that on there. See, now there was a burp, I call that. So this is good because now I can show you how to fix that. That's a little thick. So I'm just going to come in here with my brush and lift some of that off. Just to make sure. I don't want a really, really thick before I start. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and do this side, but I'm not all the way down. All right, so here's the brush. I've pinched it out. So now I have a flat. And so I'm going to touch and pull, press and pull. So you can nudge it, I call it. You can nudge it to kind of shape that leaf and then wisp it back. Wisp, wisp. Now I know I've got a lot on my brush, so I'm going to wipe some of that out. Pull, pull, pull. And you can kind of see how that creates that shape. So you have to make sure that you're curving into it. Okay, so that you're making, let's look at that one there. See how it curves in? Okay, that's what you're looking for because you're creating the veins because you're not adding any little side veins to it. Does that help? And usually I let that dry before I do another one close to it. So I'm gonna grab something different here, like this one, this larger one. All right, move that out of the way and move this out of the way so you can see. All right, so I would go through and do like 10 of them, do all my center veins and stems. I don't do the stem to the flower. Okay. Shake it down if you need to. As far as this one is behind the way I drew it. So I'm going to start with this guy. And I like to just give it a little wave to kind of make it fancy. And I've got another burp in there, which is okay. All right, make sure your brush is conditioned. You flattened your brush out. See that? It's flat versus the cat's tongue. So I'm on the flat part and I'm going to grab and pull, push and pull, push and pull. So I'm kind of doing this motion. Press and lift, press. So I'm nudging it and then pulling it down towards the center vein because that's where it grows from. Okay. It's coming out of there. And hopefully I won't stick my hand in here. And then I'm gonna, and if you're slow doing your application, only pipe one side and then come back the other side. Just make sure that you start at the top on your second side, okay? Press and lift, nudge, nudge, nudge. You wanna make sure that you don't go back and forth over it because you'll end up lifting off the product. So that's why I would say practice on paper first so that you get, practice on paper so that you can do one side and practice doing it. Okay.
Paula, is the
Yes, ma'am.
motion as you're pulling the strokes kind of like how you would pull in a straight comma stroke?
With a little bit of a curve.
Okay.
So let's do this. Maybe this will be better. Okay, so here is what would be my stem to my leaf, and this is my leaf. Okay, so I'm going to start right there. I'm not going to start all the way back, and I'm not going to go that big. Okay, but it's better that you see it. And I can wave and create and do half of it, put that back in that paper towel. Do you see how that bottle is sucked in there? Can you see the indentation?
Yes.
So if you were to put that in your damp paper towel, it would suck the water out of the towel. So just be careful of that. So make sure you have your medium in the brush. I've just squeezed it between my fingers. And now I'm going to press and lift. Kind of like a comma. Yeah, I would say that's a good explanation. But give it a little nudge if you want to create a little more texture as you're going around. And of course, the paper is extremely dry. Okay, so I'm not going to get a good slide with it, but you kind of get the idea that you're pulling it like a comma. Okay, does that help?
That helped.
Okay. All right. So and I'm going to just rinse my brush in my medium. So like I said, dirty and a clean. So now I can go up and do these side ones. And do you think I need to just stay on the side camera for a minute, or you want me to go back overhead?
That's up to you.
Okay, let's do one more little guy here. These are just guides, what I drew on there. Okay, so I've outlined it basically, but I've stayed back. See how far back? About a quarter of an inch or so from each, from the center vein on each side. So touch it and pull, touch and pull, touch and pull. So you can nudge it and pull, and I'm coming down and towards the center vein. Press and pull, nudge it, and I needed a little bit more. So if you need more, just add a little bit more there real quick. Do it while it's wet. Okay, and then grab it and pull. Because when you pull down, see, the stroke will finish that leaf off. You don't need to start at the actual stem or the center vein, because if you do, you're going to have too much product and you're just wasting it. Okay.
I've
Hopefully
got a question for you.
Okay, I'm going to switch back to my overhead while you ask that.
By all means, if you're using the one with the straight nozzle, do you still lay it down to contact your paper or ornament?
I do. And I have paste on my finger. I just noticed on this one. Wonderful. Okay, yes, you do. No matter what tip you're using. I used to use the pink one, which is the next size down. Okay. Like I said, and then my carpal tunnel over the last 20 years has got worse. So I don't have to do as much pushing. When I started this, like I said, 20 plus years ago with Jeanette McCall, we used a pastry bag. I can't do that anymore. It hurts my hand. This is easier. And these bottles, whenever I have them made, I have them thinned out, so they're pretty flexible. And I think if Robin Storm's on there, she can attest to that, because I know she has issues with her arm and hands and stuff. And a lot of people like them. Now, the bag is good too. If you like that, then use that, because I know there's others out there that do that. It's really, you just have to figure out what works for you. And see, I nudged that one, and I'm going to let that one set and move it over here and grab this one. Okay, and I can come a little bit closer. We got all kinds of fun tricks we can do. All right, so I'm going to start like here, and I'm going to do both sides. So you see, I didn't even follow that line, but it was a guide just to keep me kind of focused. Okay, press and pull towards that center vein. So I'm pulling in like a comma on the right and on the left. So even if you did one side at a time, you still, the second side, start at the top and come down. You wouldn't start here and go up. So keep the flow going around. Okay. Any other question?
No, but Robin has a comment. She says, I love the bottle because she has
Okay.
carpal tunnel. So
Okay. And I know Linda Stanton, I think she likes the bag. So it, you know, it's just whatever you like. Because, you know, not all of us are the same, for sure. Thank goodness, right? All right, so I should have got the black out, but I'm going to continue with white on this one. So I did my leaves. Now I'm going to do my petals. So the petals, think about it, even when you're painting with regular acrylics, you always focus on where it's growing from. So when we pull these strokes, they are going to be pulled down towards the stem. You wouldn't pull them sideways, crossways. You need to focus on that stem. So your eye needs to be there when you're pulling your strokes. Same thing, you don't want to start right at the stem. You want to back it off a little bit, come up, and you can kind of wave it and come partially down, tuck that into your moist paper towel. And then you can grab the edge of this and pull, grab and pull, grab and pull, pull, pull. And you don't want to pull the full length. So I'm doing this, I'm kind of lifting or wisping it off, because if you pull the full length, then you've covered up your background and you want some of that background to show. It's like a highlight. It's like you sat there and colored it. You know, like I showed this one I came back and just put some acrylics on top of that. And I'll show you how I did some of that in a bit.
so some of the people just came on late and they're asking, what is the white substance that are you using?
Okay. So I'm using Colors for Earth, which is my company, low fire, no fire piping paste, meaning we can use it on my fired ceramics and fired glass. No fire, meaning on the ornaments that we don't put in a kiln. Okay. And what I've done is take it from the jar, put it into my piping bottles, which come in a kit, or you can buy them separately. We have 1/2 ounce and 1 ounce. If you have carpal tunnel, don't buy the 1/2 ounce ones, because the smaller the bottle, the harder the surface is, and it's really hard to squeeze, I personally think. And I've had carpal tunnel for 20, I don't know, probably 25 years.
Now, this might be a difficult one to ask, but somebody asked it on the Facebook side. Is
Sure.
the mud different than Margot's mud?
So yes, this is called low fire, no fire piping paste. Like I said, there are other products out there on the market that work similar. And if you are using that, then you should be able to do this technique with it. But ours is called low fire, no fire piping paste. And I use a bottle to dispense versus a bag. But as I said, years ago, I started out with the pastry bag. I just can't do that anymore. And these bottles are things that we use for other products, our ceramic and our glass. So it was just, for me, a no-brainer. Let's use it for everything, I guess, is part of the reason. So even if this was a back petal and I was going to do a front, I would let that dry before I move to the next step, because otherwise you're just pulling off what you just put on. Okay. So now this one, my chalk went away, but my stem was to be there. So what I do is I look at the actual jewel that I've got on there. For instance, see, this one has a couple of different swirls, and I think, okay, I'll just do a partial flower. Or I pull leaves off of. Let's look at this one. So this was a swirl. I know I needed something up here, so I pulled a petal or a flower here, and then one leaf. So it just depends on if you want half, like a side view, or if you want a whole one. So I'll tend to, on the bigger ones, somewhere I'll put a full one, and I do a double row. I do the back ones first, and I can put that on one of them. And then after it's dried, then I do the center set. But you always do your leaves. So work from the background forward, which I think that's what most of us do when we do our toll painting or acrylic style painting. You always work from the background forward. So same principles as far as that goes.
Now, how long do you have, like, if you just applied the paste on that bulb now, how
Mhm.
long would it take to dry so that you could continue working on it?
It's going to take a little while, 10 minutes or so. I mean, you can touch the end, and if you depress, that one's still really soft. But in theory, I work 10 to 12 at a time across. So I'll pick one up, do the same step, all the center veins on every single one. Time I get done with 10 to 12, I can go back and do one leaf, and I go do one leaf on each one. And then, so it's more of a repetition. So it's going to take just a little bit if you're doing one. Can you fan dry it? Absolutely. You can put a fan on it if you want.
And
Okay.
another question, do you
Okay.
use your acrylic brushes?
Okay, so I'm assuming that when they say acrylic brushes, they're talking about synthetic or nylon brushes. Is that
Yes.
correct?
So I
Whoever
think
asked.
the question probably is, if I did some paste today with, like, let's say the brush you're using, tomorrow, can I use that brush to do decorative toll painting, traditional painting?
As long as
Or-
you clean it well, yes.
Okay.
And most people don't clean their brushes well enough. I can tell you that I have brush cleaners. I don't use them very often at all because I'm pretty good. And as long as you use the medium, you can see that I'm over here conditioning my brush every time, and then I'm just squeezing out the excess. So it has that in it. It gives it like a slick coating so that it won't harden in there if you were to lay it down with the paste in it and have to walk away. You may have to work a little bit, but it will come out. Okay. If you leave it in there overnight, you've ruined your brush. Okay, that's just, and this brush that I'm using, if you came in late, is one that comes in our kits, or you can buy it individually. It's a size 4 round, and the code for it is a 2000-4 KB. K means Kolinsky, B means blend. So this has Kolinsky sable hair. Kolinsky is the highest grade of brush hair. It's been more refined, more treated, compared to like a nylon or synthetic, okay, acrylic brush. I mean, these are man-made, where these have man-made and natural hairs in them. Okay. You just need to take care of them. That's all. If you clean your brushes out well, they're going to last. Do I keep one separate for my acrylics? I do. I don't use this same brush. Now, if I'm working on glass or ceramics and I'm doing this technique, I use the same brush. But if I'm going to go do and most of you guys don't do this, but underglazes with my ceramics, I wouldn't use this brush. I'm going to leave this for my non-fired product, and I would use a different brush because I have a whole container. This is just one little one, and I know those are my acrylic brushes. If I were doing fired product, I would use a separate brush, a different one. Is that confusing, or does that make sense, Carolyn?
It made sense to me.
Okay. I
Thank
mean,
you.
yeah, you're welcome. Because a lot of people don't know that. But yeah, I have a whole separate set of brushes for my ceramics that I use because like I said, most people do not clean them out well enough. And I've sat here and talked. So this is a good time. If you came in late, we're going to see Paula's dirty water bowl. This is the syringe that comes with the kit. I pulled water up into it. And now I'm going to put that tip on there, just a half a turn, righty tighty, lefty loosey, and I'm just gonna plunge out the excess product until that flows really nicely.
Hey guys, I gotta say, I'm green in envy with how clean her water basin is.
Oh, you want to see the dirtiest one? Okay. There's the dirty, well, it's kind of dirtier. You can use the magic erasers, where you can buy the knockoff ones on Amazon that are not Mr. Clean ones, and you can use those to clean those. I did my other one just the other day. It did get rid of a bunch of stuff. After you clean, make sure you blot, okay? and get rid of any moisture that's in there. And then I always, just because I had to clean it, I'm going to just squirt out a little bit to make sure. Okay, so evidently there's something clogged in there. So there could be a dry particle. So that way you'll know how to do that. I don't see anything, but I'm going to take my tool and I'm just going to grab any of that. I'm going to go over to a different paper towel and make sure that there's nothing in there that could keep that from coming out. Now, if it gets, if you have a warm body like I do, and mine gets really warm and it tends to thicken, you can take and you can put a couple of drops of the medium. I'm just going to put one because it really doesn't need to be thinned. And then just make sure you kind of shake that in and get it worked up, and always test it. I'm also going to take a toothpick. Always keep toothpicks handy. And let's just make sure. So see, it had something in the top of there. So I'm going to take it back off. And it's a good thing this happened. That way you know how to correct it, right? And just push in. And now you see there was like a little glob in there that was stopping it. I did not start with a fresh bottle. This is a bottle that I've been using for months. And to store those, you would want to store them with the little cap closure that comes on it. That's going to keep the air from getting in there and drying it out. And then you put it in a Ziploc bag would be a good idea. Okay.
So would you depress the air out of the container before putting the cap on to store it?
No.
No? Okay.
No, because this one was not full. I think you could see that.
Yes, so
Okay.
that's why I was just wondering if you should push all
Okay,
the
so
air
if
out
I-
before you plug it
So
up.
see, there's quite a bit of room down in there. I would say, yeah, probably a quarter of an inch gone. Okay, so no, I wouldn't push it in. No, but put the cap on it and then put it in a Ziploc. And then if you, like you said, if you live in Florida or Arizona is another one that I tell them to put it in the refrigerator. It'll keep it, whether it's your bottle, your jar, it doesn't matter. Put it in the fridge. Just let it come back to room temperature when you start to use it, okay? And then shake it down to make sure you have everything, because I can hear it and it's coming out okay. So I'm good to go. All right, good questions. All right, so let's do a petal. And you'll see how much easier that is. Look at that, how it flowed. So after you've used it, maybe 20 minutes, and I'm not watching the time, but you know, all the lights, you know, that's going to help it dry quicker too. Just make sure you stick that back inside that damp paper towel. And if it gets dry, you need to wet it again also. So wisp it, and I'll go like this so you can kind of see. So you don't want to cover up the whole petal. You want to leave some of your background showing through.
Paula, you're a popular lady. You have over 60, like 65 people watching you.
Oh
So.
my gosh. Hi, everybody. I hate to tell you that I hate cameras. A lot of you that know me know that. So I'm glad it's on my hands and not on my face. Thank you for joining. I do have a couple other videos that are free on my YouTube. Just search for Paula McCoy. You'll see the Colors for Earth logo. It's like a rainbow type logo. And be sure, and I do have 2 channels, but I haven't done a lot with the acrylic one. So I just put everything over there. And I do have playlist, and you can, if you don't know what playlist is on YouTube, it'll be at the top of the page. And what you're going to do is touch on that and then go down to piping paste and boom. And it doesn't matter whether I'm using it on glass or if I'm using it on ceramic surface or on the ornaments, the same principle applies to the strokes and the application. So don't not watch one of them because I may do something different on one than the other. I do have a Zoom class that is recorded that you can, it's the advanced ornament class that I did a couple of years ago, and you can download that one. It's only $24.95. Actually, Miss Linda Stanton ordered that one this morning. And then you kind of got me there. You can play me anytime you want. So press and pull. It's sweeping, like a sweeping motion. Nudge it and pull. Nudge and pull and come down towards. I started talking and I wasn't looking at my stem. Did you see how I started going the other direction? Turn it. So constantly turn. Don't work backwards. And I find that with people with acrylics, with the ceramics, any kind of a tool or brush, they are afraid to move their piece. And you need to make it comfortable for you. And if you turn it, you're always pulling the same direction. So if you're over here, you may be pulling straight down and you need to be going towards the stem. So keep that in mind. Pull, pull, pull. So I'm just a nudge and pull, nudge and pull, nudge and pull. 60 people. That's awesome. Wow.
And some people came on late, so just reiterate that they can find the kit on your website. I did put that in the
Okay.
Facebook feed.
Okay, so yeah, and I'll show that in 1 second. So we have kits that have the black and the white paste. It comes with the brush, a tool, the piping bottles, and the medium that I'm using to condition my brush over here. Okay. And while this one is drying for a second, I will grab the kit again for those of you that came in late.
And do you sell tints? They're asking, can you tint the white?
You can, what? Oh, I don't have that piece back here. You can tint the white with any of your acrylics, guys. Any of your acrylics. And it will pretty much, I did magenta from Plaid multi-surface, and it stayed magenta. I do not have that vase. I did it as a Facebook Live, so it's out on my YouTube. So go look at that. But yeah, I mean, you can, or you can add it later. Okay, because you can make the choice. Because what happens is if you tint the white and you make up a whole bottle of it, it's not going to take a whole bottle unless you're going to do a lot of that color. Yeah, go ahead and mix it up. But what happens if you decide you don't use it? You've wasted an ounce of product. So if you were to tint it, you would just put some of the paste, and I can do a tint. I'm not going to put it in a bottle, but I'll do it. But let me show the kit first. Okay. So this is the black and the white kit. So it comes with the black, the white, the medium, a brush, the tool, the plunger, and 2 of the piping bottles. And it also has little basic instructions. Okay, so you get the black, the white, you get a bottle for each. The tips are inside the bottles there. The plunger, the little green Q-tip helps clean out the tips. Also, you get the brush that I'm using and the tool. So let's say down the road, your brush wears out, you need another one, you just search for that one. And then you get your glass medium, which is what I'm conditioning my brush with. And that helps keep your brush clean. And it kind of makes it slick so it slides on there. This is the black and the white. I do have one that's just white, just black. And just for you guys, I have put all 3 of those kits on sale. I do have, if you're looking, because I own Paula Brush Company also, if you're looking for some brushes, we have Kolinsky, we have synthetic or Taklon, nylon. And I have a brush code on my Facebook page. It's, Robin, help me. Brush 20, I think is the code. And you get 20% off any brushes on my website. So if you're looking, just maybe the brush you have, you've been doing this and it's not working for you, that might be another solution. Okay. So here's one that I did years ago with Holly, and I came back in and I used some color, and you can add your acrylic, your comma strokes with it, but you see I used the red on red. You can do little snowflakes. I was just fiddling around using some treasure gold, and this was just a demo piece. This is not a piece I would hang on my tree. Okay. But if you were going to, I've got some citrus green out here, multi-surface. I'm just going to stick it in this cup because I don't want it over in my palette. And I have another plug here. Sorry about that, but you'll be amazed at how these work. These are my Sumi brushes. They are a black squirrel, natural hair. I sell them individually. I developed these about 28, 29 years ago now. I took China painting classes and I wanted to get that look on ceramics, and this allowed me to do that. So I have some here. Okay, so black squirrel, and let me show you how those work, how I'm going to apply this color, because I think you'll find it fascinating. I'm going to move this out of the way because I want you to be able to see my water bowl when I do this. I call this Sumi shading. I'm going to use the medium one. Water load, so get it wet. You want to drag off the side of the tub or your water bowl, whatever you're using. And when I drag, I go one, I turn the brush over, drag again, turn it, drag again. So that's just kind of a natural thing that I do 3 or 4 times. So it holds a ton of water. Watch this. I mean, lots of water. Okay. It's a natural hair, like the hair on your head. Okay. So if you were to drag that off and you tip it just into the tip of that, and then let's go, didn't I have one? Oh, here it is. You can go over here. This is acrylic that I'm using right now. If you're a ceramic person, you can do it with your color concentrates of mine. I'm going to tuck that color where I want it, sit it down, mush, 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 walk it to the right, walk it to the left. And what happens is it bleeds out. Water is your friend. Water's, it's like square shader and you're floating color on. I'm floating it with a Sumi brush is all I'm doing. Okay, so you can come back and add that color. So why tint it whenever you can do this and make the decision later what you want to do? Does that make sense, Carolyn? I mean, it kind of gives you options. So you've done it white and you're like, I really want a little bit of color added to that. Okay, now you can add it once it's dry and it will absorb into that. Okay, so even if you were using a darker color, let's grab some magenta. I think that's what this is, yeah. And I'll just stick some of that one here. You could do it with the treasure golds. I mean, anything you wanted. Just constantly rinse, drag off to remove the excess water, tip into that color. So very little on the brush. And now I'm going to tuck that color where I want it. So I'm always aiming the point of the brush where I want it. And I'm pressing down, like pressing all the way down on the bristles. And what happens is that color bleeds back into the water and gives you that gradual transition from dark to light. Hopefully that makes sense. But it's another way. Okay, great. Another way to add. Yes.
There's a couple more questions. How long will a new bottle of piping paste stay usable?
If you put saran over, so open it up, and so instead of like this is, so as long as if you join me late, scrape it down so that it's down where I have a lot in there, because once this is dry on the side, it is not going to reconstitute, no matter how much of the glass medium you put in there. Okay, that's just to kind of thin it. It doesn't reconstitute it necessarily. So put a piece of saran over this. I use mine pretty often, so I don't do that, but saran, put the lid on it, put it in a plastic Ziploc, and then even set it in the fridge, then bring it out, let it warm up naturally. It'll last a long time. I opened this one in November. So it just depends on how much you do, how many times you open it. It's just like anything else, just like your acrylics, you know, how much you have them open. Do you keep the lid closed? I mean, just common sense kind of stuff when you're doing things like that. But hopefully that gives you, of course, this is running because I set it down. Okay. It gives you some ideas on what you can do after the fact. I think even on this one, I used Robin Storm, help me out. Media fluid acrylics from Deco Art. I think that's one of the
and you guys are definitely in tune because as you said that, Robin typed in, it works with fluid media acrylic too. So
Robin is a good friend of mine. So
yes, somebody had asked, can you use folk art medium?
Okay, so clarify the word medium at the end. I'm using folk art multi-surface. Would you use the medium instead of water?
I think they're thinking, can you use the medium instead of the glass medium, maybe?
Oh, okay, like floating medium and blending gel.
Yes.
No, not the same, because remember your floating medium is the fluff that's in the paint with no pigment. So no, I wouldn't. It's going to harden because acrylic is made, it's plastic. Okay. And when you get it on your brush, you got plastic onto plastic on, you know, if you're using like a Taklon type brush. Okay. So this is plastic, it holds plastic. This brush is made really good for acrylics. The natural hair brushes are made more, they're just more refined. It really depends on how you take care of your brushes. So I would not use the Folk Art blending gel or floating medium, because it's not going to work the same at all. But that's a great question. Thank you for asking. All right, anything else? Does that give you some ideas as far as adding color? Let me grab, I have one here that hold on, I have my ornament tree down here on the floor. It's about 40 ornaments. Okay, so this is that one of those Dollar Trees from about 3 or 4 years ago. I think I saw some of them this year. I poured one of the glitterific from Plaid, I think it was. Some of them are chunkier. It just wouldn't dry, and you see how sporadic it is. And I let it dry for a week, had it upside down. Well, everything just slid out. That's why I use the other technique if I want something inside now. So white paste, and then I came back with Treasure Gold by Plaid, and I brush stroked it in. So I would take my other favorite brush, and Linda and Robin, this number 2 liner that we sell. This is a Kolinsky. Let me wet it. This is a new one. I treated myself to a new one. It's a Kolinsky number 2 liner. It makes the most awesome comma strokes you'll ever. And if you're using, I'm kind of getting off course here, but I like to share. Sorry, Carolyn. I mean, it has to do with the ornaments. So if you're using the Treasure Gold, the biggest thing is to keep it really, really super on your brush. And if I were going to do a comma stroke here, I'm going to press, pull, and lift. I'm going to, and this one's almost gone. Every stroke, I am going to load to keep the Treasure Gold, and it's very stringy. You got to watch to keep it really super strong and opaque. And that's one of my tips in some of the other videos. People say, well, how do you get yours where it's not so translucent? I dip every single time when I do the Treasure Gold or any acrylics on the ornaments. I like to make sure that it's nice and strong. And I would keep that brush for acrylics only, not for my ceramics. And everybody knows you should dampen your brush before you use it, right? Everybody does that, right? That helps you protect your brush also. All right, what else do you want to know? Since I got off course here. So once you get your paste on there, then I have what I call my little doofers, which are these little doodads in between. And you can kind of see them on this one. Let's use a really good example instead of my ones that I practice on. So I go in, so I did all my paste work, and then I go in and I add these doofers where I have gaps. Okay, so maybe I didn't have enough design. Maybe you don't want that much stuff there. That's totally up to you as far as how much you put on there. So let's bring this back over. Now I do this 2 different ways. I'm going to use a Q-tip for one way, and then I'm going to use the brush for another. So if I were doing it on this one out here, I would put 3 dots, tuck that in, condition my brush, squeeze out the excess, and I'm going to stay on the chisel this time, not on the flat, but on the chisel. And I'm going to pull that center stroke first. So I'm going to just barely touch and then pull, touch and pull. And I'm going to kind of curve that one, and I'm going to curve that one and clean that brush. So if I were inside like here, I wanted something in here, I could do the same thing. I would put 3 dots on the chisel, grab, pull, grab, pull, grab, pull. Now let's, and I'm just putting some of these on here. It's not necessarily, this is not going to be one I sell. This is just to show you. Okay. Now let's do one with the toothpick, and people may find this easier because sometimes depth perception, you know, Carolyn, you can't tell where you're at. As we get older, that happens. So I'm going to use just a toothpick, and I'm going to push it into that little puddle and pull it. And then grab and pull, grab and pull. So that is another way to do it. Some people like that better. But you got to find what works for you. And you may have a different way to do it. You may have a different brush that works for you. But that's how I teach it, and that's how I've done it for years. So, any more questions?
Now, could you show the ornament that you were showing previously so people can guess? Because a lot of people came on afterwards. Yeah, to make it fair.
Okay, so I said that if somebody can tell me how many of these jewels that I put in the background, not these jewels and not the ones in the centers, but these that are in the outer spacing, if you can guess the right number, you'll win this ornament from me. Okay, I'm just going to quickly spin it, and then I'm going to take it out of view so you can't count. Of course, you can stop your video. I didn't say that, did I? All right. There's more on there than you think. The other thing is, a lot of people will ask me, what do I sign with? Okay, so let me put that one there, and I'll show you that, because all the paste is pretty much the same way. I think you've got that down. Are you good with that, you think? I'm just trying to share all the little tips and tricks. These are deco color, and this one happens to be an extra fine. It's by Marvy, M-A-R-V-Y. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Shake them. I'm gonna grab my paper. But isn't that fun how you can just add that gold? And it depends on what color. Here's those big, okay, big pieces that I used on, which one? This one here. So the big embellishment. So I cut it in half at the top and used half, and another half. So that's another way to, try to get the most out of your stuff. All right. All right. So shake them up good and then test them so that, and you may have to go slow to start with. Okay. And then let's just go grab one of these crappy ones here. Now, I would not use gold on the teal. I would use silver. Okay. So gold, I would put like on this color because it goes more with my jewels. So think of it being a warm or a cool color, whatever you happen to be doing, and just get it started. And then you can write on there. Pretty nice. Isn't that fun? So again, these are deco color, and I've got the silver and the gold. Okay. Another thing, if you're putting, let's say you go to acrylics and you want to add acrylic embellishments, we have a wipeout tool that we sell on the website. You see that? And this is really good to pick up color. And I'm going to grab my acrylic little dilly here. So if you want to add embellishments, maybe just with dots, that gives you a nice little dot pattern. So does everybody know that and you guys are pretty well advanced compared to my surround, and I don't mean that derogatory, but there's some people, you guys have done more brush strokes and things is what I'm saying. So they may not know that if you keep dotting, you get gradual dots. If you want to do the same size dot, you need to load your tool, whatever you're using, for every single dot to get the same size. Okay, I'm giving you more than paste lessons tonight. Sorry. It's just things that kind of go with the ornaments itself. So, all right, anything else that you can think of or any other questions? Here's that sheet again. Start with your stems. Do one side if you work slowly, pull it in, then do your other side. Just remember to start at the top. So you've done this side. So when you pipe this side out, you're going to start at the top and you're going to pull those strokes down, and you're going to do them in the fashion that they look like they're veins. So think about where that grows from. It's growing from the stem and it's growing out of that center. So make them curve back in there. Don't come straight across. Okay. And I've got this here where it shows you. And if you need to draw that on with the chalk, and after you do it a couple of times, it really helps. It really does. Okay. Some of my centers, I will put, I just do dots, I do cross hatching, or I will stick a little dot like I've done on this one. I'm going to set it down and I'm going to do it on a different one. Maybe I have some loose jewels. You can buy a whole bunch of different sizes in one container, but I'll just take, let's pretend this one is done. I'll put a dot of paste. I take my finger, I lick my finger, believe it or not, to pick that up and then push it down. And then when it hardens, I can wipe it off so that nobody gets my germs. Okay. And then I go around. Am I on screen? Yes. Okay. And I kind of nestle little dots around it. That kind of hugs it and it hardens around it and it keeps it in place. And then I would come out one in between those, and you can go out as far as you want, depending on the size of your flower, but you can kind of see how that works. And I just realized I'm sticking my finger in the green that I did on the other side. Okay. Does that make sense, everybody? Any questions?
Yes, it does. So some people came in late.
Okay.
Yeah. So just look through the feed and Paula will go through. I think I've answered pretty much or asked Paula rather every question, and she's given an answer. Just tell them again, Paula, where they can find the product.
Sure. And here's another purple one that if anybody finds these purples at Hobby Lobby, please message me and let me know they're in stock, because a couple of my dear friends have one of these, but I can't find them anymore. So colorsforearth.com, COLORSFOREARTH.com. Okay. And just type in paste in the search bar. That's the easiest thing to do. And it'll bring up anything to do with paste. The kits are on sale, whether it's the kit with the black and the white, or it's just the white or just the black, depending on what you, and let me show you a black one since I forgot to do that. This is not the best one. I tried a technique on the back of it that I didn't care for, but they're very elegant no matter what. So this is like a frost that I sponged on, didn't care for it. And look at this. I found these at like Joann's, I think it was. And they're like a little, it's almost like a little fuzzy sequence pom-pom. And I use that for the center. And then I just use the silver. And here's the silver for the name. So I just left an area. There's that one. You can also get the PDF with step out instructions, design ideas, pictures of a lot of these ornaments. Now here is an actual frosted glass from the craft stores. Okay. And I've lost, because this is many, many years ago. This is 2018. So you can see how it looks on the frost. I tried to duplicate that when I couldn't find these, and I didn't like it at all. So, and every year, just so everybody knows, on my YouTube channel, for the last 3 years anyway, I do a free ornament class, and I'll show you some of those. And see, here's a larger embellishment for the center. And do you see what I did? See the large jewels? So 2 of them, there's a petal. There's another petal and another one. So you can kind of, that will help guide you. I wouldn't go more than right at a half an inch out. You get too long with your strokes, it gets a little difficult. When you're doing the bigger ones, do double petals like that guy. Okay. Here's a real cute little one. I think I gave this one away on one of these. Look at that guy. Isn't he pretty? The navy. And then I did. So here's that curl, and I did a half flower off of it. And I used these little silver. They're like little balls, like half balls. Those were kind of fun. So you can find all different types of jewels. And if you missed the beginning, Paper Studio is the most popular one that I use. They've got a lot of different, but check different places. I do have the advanced ornament class. It's a Zoom download. It gives you a paste ornament. It also does my peacock ornament is on that one. So I have 2 acrylics. It's $24.95. You get downloadable instructions and the video. So here's my peacock one. Look at all those comma strokes. Is that fun? And then here's my pansy. And let me back the camera off just a little bit so that you can see more. So there's the pansy. And I show you how to do the inside. This was just a clear ornament to start with. So is this one. And that's the advanced class. All right. What else you want to see? I had a free one that was on the cover of what's the name of the magazine? Painting World? Yeah. Painting World a year ago, Christmas. This was the one. So you can go, I think you can still buy that downloadable, and it tells you how to do this guy step by step, which is kind of fun. And then, and I posted a lot of stuff in your board this year, some newer ones. So like here's a one that's, we're gonna find places to set things. This is, I didn't put anything on the inside of this guy. Okay, see the white background. And I just started, I put, this was from Dollar Tree. It was a long piece. It fit exactly around this particular heart. And then I just did acrylics, but I also came back and embellished with the jewels. That's kind of my signature thing that I started a couple of years back. Everybody knows it's mine if they see that. All right, what else? This year I did a fuchsia ornament as my free one. Let me grab it. This is the one I did as a free one this time. Kind of cool, huh? Here's my other ones. So these are out there as some free ones. And then, like I said, there's some downloadable one also. All right. What else can I tell you? Anything? Are we done? Are we at our 2 hour?
No, I think you have shared a lot of information. So now it's just a matter of people digesting it, going to your website and purchasing the product if they wish to. And as a beginner, I think what I'm picking up is you just need to practice.
You do need to practice. And the more you practice, just like with brush strokes or anything else, the better you're going to get. And if anybody wants to, on Facebook, they can messenger me a photograph and say, what am I doing wrong? I can usually, as a teacher, I've taught for 30 some years, you can usually pick up on it. And if I can't, I'll do a Zoom with you and we can just go through it together. I mean, that's, if you succeed, I succeed is the way I think of it. So
that's a nice uplifting way of looking at it. So ladies, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put stop on the feed because people do watch the replay. So it's just the people, Paula, that have commented up to that stop and provided a number that are eligible for your wonderful, gift. So,
all right.
If anybody has any more questions on the Facebook side, you need to ask now. If not, thank you, Paula, so much for doing this. Very informative. And ladies, did you also know that she's a certified Donna Dewberry teacher? I did not know that. So she is very talented.
I put out there. Yeah.
She's a corporate. She owns a corporation. She, decorates these beautiful ornaments with her paste, her low fire, non-fire paste. And she's also,
ceramic glass artist. Yeah. A little bit of everything. This is what I'm going to do in my retirement.
Okay.
If I ever get to retire. I would love to just sit and paint, but unfortunately I have to create things that sell products. So, that's
understood.